Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot, oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only, Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker, and I am not here with PK tonight. I know a lot of you have been asking about her, and unfortunately, she is still unable to join us. They're trying to figure out exactly what's going on and the best treatment, and I will keep you all posted because I've gotten a lot of emails and messages asking, and I will let you all know as much as I know as soon as I know it, I promise. And, of course, she's greatly missed and is also feeling very grateful for all the prayers everybody's sending for her fast and speedy recovery. So here we are in November. I can't believe it's November. It's November 10th today. I have a great guest for you. He is amazing. He is an author, an expert, a filmmaker. His name is Craig Campobasso. He is with us tonight. We are diving deep into ETs, everybody, so hang tight. It's going to be a great show. And I wanted to also mention to please make sure you follow us on Facebook and Twitter so you can keep up with all the exciting stuff that we have coming up throughout the holidays. We're not taking a break here. We're going straight through with super-duper paranormal shows. And I wanted to remind everybody again, property tax bills for all you property owners, don't ignore your property tax bill. Well, you can't ignore that or you'll be in big trouble. But don't forget to go out and get your property record card so you can see how you're being taxed and what you're being taxed on. If you don't do that, then it could be extremely detrimental to you, and you don't have a lot of time. So when they figure out your estimated tax bill, which they usually do this time of year, go to your tax assessor's office or go online, get that property record card, and make sure you also get Attorney Patricia Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. It's a great book. It's an older book, but everything in it is still valid. It'll lead you through exactly how you need to do this. With all of our taxes going up thanks to the new administration, it's really important you pay attention to your property taxes. So, Attorney Quintilian's book is available on Amazon. Again, the name is Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. And another great book I want to mention is the Opus Mago Kabbalisticum that I had translated from Old German, first ever translation into English. And it was by Professor Joseph McVeigh, who heads up the German language department at Smith College. He translated the entire book from Old German. It's an amazing treatise. You've got to get it and read it. It makes a wonderful gift also, by the way. It had never been done before, and we were thrilled to be able to get this accomplished. So, 2 books to put on your list. So tonight, here we go, into E.T. land. Now, Craig Campobasso, he is a multiple award-winning filmmaker and Emmy-nominated casting director. He was 15 when he started in the entertainment business, and his young acting career was off to a great start. He landed his first national commercial for McDonald's chicken sandwiches and spoke his first line of dialogue to Tuesday Weld in M-O-W, I don't know what that is. Craig will have to tell us. Craig directed, wrote, and produced this short film, Stranger at the Pentagon, which was adapted from the popular UFO book authored by the late Dr. Frank E. Stranges. And that, oh my God, The Legend of Valiant Thor. What a great book and what a great film. You've got to see that. Now, after production, the short film collected accolades, and in September 2014, it won Best Sci-Fi Film at the Burbank International Film Festival, selling out all the seats, a first for the festival. Well, his awards go on and on. I could keep talking about him all night, but I'd rather bring him on the show because he's got some great information for us. And you know, we want the best information and the latest information. Craig has it. So, Craig, welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here. And by the way, MOW is a movie of the week. Remember
movie
way back in the day?
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Why didn't I know
back
that?
In the day,
Thank you.
it would be like the big people who did them were James Gardner, Farrah Fawcett, Jacqueline Smith,
Right.
Lindsay Wagner. So those were the old movies of the week when they used to make those all the time.
That's right.
Yeah,
now it's just binge watching. Yeah.
And it makes me feel good that you know who Tuesday Weld is.
I do indeed. I absolutely do.
Yeah, one of the biggest movie stars of her time back then. So
she certainly was, and what an honor for you. My goodness.
Yeah, it was really exciting. It was really exciting to sit with her in a scene and, get a line of dialogue with her. So
exactly.
That was exciting for me as a very young actor. So it was cool.
That's very, very cool. And, your movie, Stranger at the Pentagon, it was so excellent and very much deservedly got those awards. It was great. It's one of my favorite stories ever about what happened with Valiant Thor. Just an amazing story. So, but how did you get into UFOs and all this crazy stuff? Tell us how you got into it.
Well, when I was 26 years old, I had a spiritual awakening. I wasn't even into science fiction or anything like that. And once I had this giant awakening where I went from being totally asleep to being awake after a major 2-year waking period, I started to get very interested in all things that were out in the universe, to learn about extraterrestrials and contactees especially. And so I started researching and going to a lot of the conventions and meeting the ufologists and becoming friends with them and going on investigations with them and traveling, all around the States. And so I myself became immensely interested in them, but I really loved hearing the contactees who were having face-to-face contact with extraterrestrials, right. and trying to figure out why were these beings specifically chosen, right? And the one thing that I learned in every single case is that contactee was a starseed from where those beings were from, and it was a part of their soul contract coming in. And so, very interesting. And even in the case of Dr. Frank Stranges, I just knew that he was, because remember, I was with him the last 7 to 8 years of his life. It was between 7 and 8 years. And I was with him at least once a week, and I spoke to him every day or several times a day on the phone. So I got to learn a lot about him, and when I took on the job of of writing the script for the feature film Stranger at the Pentagon, I would go to his house and I would sit with him, and I would, all of a sudden, he would start talking in a little slightly different cadence, and he was saying some really brilliant, smart stuff. And when I looked at his eyes were not his eyes. I knew that Valiant Thor was talking directly through him.
Oh my
and
gosh!
I tested my theory when, after he had said some stuff to me, I would then say to Dr. Frank, "So when you said this," and he looked at me and he goes, "I never said that."
Oh gosh!
And I went, okay. Now, I've had the luxury of knowing a lot of the people throughout the years when he was alive who went to his council, I think what did he call them? Council of Light or something, something meeting that he held. And, there'd be about 100, 150 people fly in from all over the world in Las Vegas because Victor I was actually stationed at Lake Mead. So he would, so we know that he would interact with Valiant Thor and the Vice Commanders during that time and have an extended stay afterwards and sometimes visit, their craft and some of the crew members. So it was just fascinating because now everyone believes that Valiant Thor is Venusian. He was living on the interior of Venus for quite some time, but my personal gut tells me he was not from Venus. But I think my feeling is he may have been stationed in the Pleiades, and then Dr. Frank had told me he was given his assignment for Earth way before 1957. So when he was living on the interior of Venus, he would come back and forth to Earth, but he said that he was very antsy to start his mission, and so I believe, because a lot of the crew members are Venusian, and I believe that Dr. Frank was Venusian. I just felt that there was a connection, soul thing that happened there because he was in the right place at the right time. He was doing a 2-week talk at a local church in Washington, D.C., and one night he spoke on UFOs and the Bible, which he always did. And he would talk about all the different things, about the different things in the Bible that pointed to life elsewhere in the universe. And then he would talk about George Adamski and that type of thing. So, and then he is invited to go meet with Valiant Thor, and he meets with him. And really, if you put 2 and 2 together in the giant puzzle, it was all perfect timing because there was no way the government was going to let anyone know that Valiant Thor existed.
Yeah, that's
and
for sure.
Valiant Thor went on purpose to Howard Menger's UFO lecture in his backyard, where many what they called people from elsewhere, visitors, human visitors, would go and meet with Howard, and there was a way, and those photos that were taken by a retired Air Force photographer and an amateur UFO buff. So, so that photographer was friends with Dr. Frank, and they both lived in New Jersey where Howard Menger lived. So that's how Dr. Frank first got the first photograph of Valiant Thor, and he used to put the photograph up, and he would tell the story of him being at the Menger's farm as told to him by August Roberts, the photographer. And really the story is this.
Before you go any further, though, because with Augie's photos, what did Valiant Thor look like? I know everybody wants to know. Those are the questions I'm getting right now. What did he look like?
Well, you can see what he looked like on my website, strangeratthepentagon.com. Those photos are on the site. Just toggle through the different pages and you'll find them. But he was 6'1". He had light brown hair, although in the pictures, because of the lighting and the Brill cream of the day, because, he did come here to look just like everyone else, and everyone at that time, when all the guys were putting Brill cream in their hair. So anyway, I don't know if he really did Brill cream, but but that's, he did have something in his hair to push it back, right?
Right.
And
he had the look.
He always wore a blue suit, although it looks darker, and he always wore a white tie. So, and he was very handsome. I would say the actor that looks closest to him today is Lee Pace. He's currently starring on Foundation on Apple TV. And he starred in many, many movies. And a lot of people kind of think he looks like Jimmy Stewart, but I don't. But he's he's a very handsome fellow, and he has perfect features, because you have to remember this is a created being. I would put him in a classification of high seraphim. Dr. Frank also believed that as well. And you have to remember, when you're in your soul perfection body, you are going to mirror, the inner is going to be mirrored on the outer as well. So, so that, that was, the whole thing with the story there is that it was confirmed to Augie by Howard that Valiant Thor and his Vice Commander Dawn and the woman with them, Jill, who is the wife of another Vice Commander named Zan, that they were that they definitely weren't from here, because they gave Howard the secret handshake that all visitors gave him, so he would know if they were from here or not.
Oh,
because you really
how
couldn't
cool
tell
is that?
anybody apart. So that was very cool. And anyway, it's just, it's such a fascinating story. And because I was with Dr. Frank for so long, I was entrusted with the story. Valiant Thor wanted me to make the movie along with Dr. Frank. And so, then we lost Dr. Frank. And in 2008, and I decided to make a short film to raise the funding with investors, because that's how you do it these days. And and then everybody in the world wanted to see it, so I decided to release it and that kind of thing. It really is just a few scenes, several scenes from the movie that has a little bit of a little thoroughfare of what is going on, and then I sort of left it with a cliffhanger ending, so the investors would go, well, what happened? I want to know what happened. And say, write a check. Write a check.
That's how you see more.
So
exactly.
That's how you do it. So I'm still raising the money to make the feature film. Everything's ready to go. It's amazing, and all of that. So
well, it's such an intriguing story, and you're so lucky that you got to spend so much time with Dr. Frank.
Yes.
And to me, I never met him, but after reading his book, I felt like he was so genuine, and there was nothing about him that was doing this for his own gain. It was really just something he wanted everybody to know about, that this really did happen.
Well, here's the other thing. People think if you have a book, you're really wealthy.
I know,
that is
really,
like
yeah,
the
right.
farthest thing from the truth. I mean,
exactly.
He didn't have a publisher for Stranger at the Pentagon. He had to pay to get them printed, and when he would go and do a talk or book signings, he took them, and if people bought them, they bought them. He didn't make hardly any money with any of the books that he wrote, because this is sort of how it was done. And you have to remember that a lot of times when you go and do speaking engagements, you have to pay for your own expenses.
Yeah.
So
especially back then.
Lot of people,
yeah.
Especially back then. So, he loved speaking, and the thing is that the original point of what I was getting at is that Valiant Thor picked him because he would become the grassroots campaign that lets the world know that he exists.
Mhm. Yes.
You see, so so when he spoke, going all over the world, he was always accompanied by two of the vice commanders, Commander Dawn and Commander Thawne. Commander Dawn is also in the photo with Valiant and Jill. Very handsome guy, looking straight into camera, so we get a whole, front of his face as well. And so that's how the story got out. And then, of course, since I've been around, I've had many, many people, which, of course, I cannot prove, who said, I worked in the Secret Service way back when. I worked at the Pentagon. I worked at this high classified thing, and they all give me the whisper, it's true, right? But I also used to do a radio show with a guy, and I can't remember his name, but I would talk to him on the side a lot, and he said, look, I used to be in the CIA, and he said, this story is true. And he said, I had Dr. Frank on my show, and I just want to keep having you on so we can keep talking about it and that kind of thing. He ended up passing away, but he was great. And so there's just all these little things. And, of course, I had my own experiences where I do know that they exist, although I have never met them in the flesh. So,
wow, what an adventure. And my goodness,
but
amazing. They were keeping that secret.
Several people. Yeah, I met several people who have met him in the flesh. And the husband and wife team that met him were the ones that introduced me to Dr. Frank. And then I met two other women separately who met him in the 60s when he returned. And they were girls, they were teenagers, 15, 16, 17, around that age at the time. So, and Dr. Frank was with him in one of the meetings that where a UFO group was brought to meet him out in the desert, and they saw the craft flying at night. And she said that was Valiant Thor. They introduced him, and Dr. Frank was with him.
Amazing.
So there's just all these amazing stories. So
yes, and you've had the benefit of meeting extraterrestrials yourself. But of course, you've had this experience with Dr. Frank, but you've had so much more. I mean, your next series is out right now, right?
It is. So the Extraterrestrial Species Almanac right, is a compilation of all of my favorite races from a lot of contactee cases. So this is information directly from the contactees, and in cases where there wasn't a contactee, I was able to find hybrids of the race that were a hybridization with the human, and that some of that DNA was put in their embryo before they were born. Some of it was put into their DNA later on. I had a dear friend who had 3 kinds of extraterrestrial DNA. Her father was in the military and had access to it, and they were doing a genetic exchange program. And so there were 3 kinds of DNA put into the eggs of his wife. And
you know, why? But I got to stop you right there. Why would anybody do that to their child without knowing what could happen? I mean, that sounds so...
I don't know. I don't know what his reasoning was, but maybe the ETs told him that it would be a special child. Actually, it was twins, and the sister passed away, and the other sister lived on, I believe, into her 50s. And was very benevolent and was into the whole extraterrestrial culture and raising consciousness on Earth. So she really had a great, big, beautiful purpose here. And she did look slightly different. Her fingers were a little different, and her eyes were aqua. And her skin was like a really kind of glowy white, but it had a little different texture to it. And she was just a love bug. I'm going to text you her picture, because I just found my picture with her before she passed away when I went to visit her.
Oh, love to see it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if anybody knows who Cynthia Crawford is, but she told her story, and she was just such a beautiful human being. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see it. And certainly we've had people on the show who've talked a lot about hybridization programs. And I've heard personally from children of military people that are, have been experimented on. And some of them haven't been very happy about it, I have to say. This is a unique situation that you're mentioning now that seems to have some kind of a better outcome. But some of the people I've talked to, they really didn't like the fact that their dads kind of handed them over for experiments like this. Yeah. They're like, no, we don't get along today, So.
Exactly. So, but anyway, so the book is a compilation of 82 races. I had to pick from over 100 that I have investigated, and because the publisher wanted me to keep the book under 300 pages and do thumbnail reviews, and then in the back of the book under further reading, like for instance, if you read about the clarions, of which I have real photographs of a male and a female clarion that the actual contactee allowed me to use in the book. And so you could go to the back of the book and look under further reading, clarion, and find the book of the actual contactee so that you could learn about that case even further. So there's lots under further reading, and then there's an extraterrestrial whose photograph I photographed several years ago on an investigative case. So I put that at the very back of the book under the unknown alien, because we didn't know we don't know where they're from or who they are. But it was later said after being identified by those in the know that it was a race that started visiting Earth in the 50s, and that this is the first time that they had seen that this race was visiting again. So, but there was no malevolence that they talked about at all. So, So the good news is that for our Italian brethren and sisterin, is the book was released in Italy 2 weeks ago in Italian.
How cool is that?
That's going, and then the publisher just sold the Spanish translation rights. So the book will be in Spanish next year sometime. And
that's great, Craig.
That's going to be very, very exciting. And then one other little tidbit about the book is when I was writing it, I was able to find my stepfather adopted me when I was 1. I never knew my biological father. And I found my biological father in 2019 when I started writing the E.T. Almanac. And he had passed away, but I, through DNA, got connected to his brother and his family. And so he ended up, I went to dinner with him and one of his sons, and the first time about 2 years ago, and he told me that my biological father was in the Air Force and that he worked for Project Blue Book.
Oh, get out! See,
so get that right? I mean,
yeah.
And then. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm writing a MUFON book. They're both kind of did the same thing. And I've been in the film industry since I was 15. And when he left the Air Force and came back to L.A., he ultimately became the head of construction at Warner Brothers for film and TV sets.
Jeez. Well, the apple does not fall far from the tree, huh?
That's right. That's right. So
Gosh.
So that was just very fascinating. And the other exciting news is that I have been working on bringing the Extraterrestrial Species Almanac and making a documentary out of it. So we are just a little under halfway there. We've been interviewing a lot of the actual contactees, hybrids, people in the know. What I wanted to do with this documentary was to not bring on a lot of the same people in the UFO community that are in other documentaries. I wanted people to hear it firsthand from the people who experienced it. And there are a few who are people who are quite famous in the industry who have come out in the documentary to talk about their own experiences for the first time on camera as well.
That's great.
So that's really good. So we're doing that. Then what I'm going to do is bring all the extraterrestrial species to life through CGI or computer-generated images. It's like going and seeing a Marvel movie where you see all the creatures and you see everything and all of that. And then, of course, inside their spaceships and things of that nature. So anyway, I've had to start a GoFundMe campaign for people who would like to help with getting the CGI created, because wow, I didn't realize it was going to be this expensive in this day and age when I started getting all of the quotes and stuff because I had raised money privately already, and but I definitely was going to need a larger chunk of $10,000. I think we're at, and it's been 2 weeks. We're at 2,500, I think, right now. So
well, then you're growing. That's great. And just so everybody knows, in the show description on the Blog Talk Radio Supernatural Girls page, you can also find those links. If you want to participate in the GoFundMe campaign, that link is there. Also, if you want to buy a personalized autographed copy of the book, you can get the link there to have Craig autograph it and send it to you. So those two links are in the show description for tonight's show, just so if you want that, you know where to go to get it.
Yes, thank you so much. So that's going to be very exciting. So I would assume, hopefully, we could get this out by, fall next year, something like that. But if people want to learn more when they go to either the Stranger at the Pentagon website or the Autobiography of ANET.com website, hit the subscribe button so that you'll be up to date when I send out updates on everything that's going on. Especially, if you're interested in wanting to know when the ET Species Almanac is going to be released. I do have another MUFON book coming out next October, and I can't say what it is yet, but it is super exciting, and I'm so jazzed with it because I got to work with loads and loads of MUFON investigators. So we'll be sending that out when I can release the title of the book. We're still figuring that out. We're almost there, and then what the subject matter and all of that is. So that's very exciting.
You better be coming back to Supernatural Girls for that one.
Oh yeah,
sounds very very
for
exciting.
Sure.
So you have another series.
Sure.
Yeah, you better. I'm going to track you down. So. The other thing there's a lot of things I want to talk to you about tonight. I mean, you've got so much information, Craig, and so many people come to the show and they talk about stuff, and we've heard it all before, but not you.
Right.
You always have really good new information, and there's a lot of talk right now about two warring factions of aliens that are affecting our lives on Earth right now. I know you have a perspective on aliens that's a little bit different, that you tend to see them more in a positive light. So we just want to know, what do you know about all of this? What's going on? What's new in your experience with alien intervention and aliens living here? I mean, just looking at that picture you sent me of Miss Crawford, I mean, you could not tell. If I passed her on the street, I would not know that she's a hybrid.
But if you were to look into her eyes and see that, like in that photo, you can't see her aqua eyes. But also, if you were to see her hands, they're just a little bit differently shaped. I have seen people throughout my life, and I could probably count it on two hands, where I knew that they were not from here. And they knew that I knew that they weren't from here because they looked at me and they either scurried away in a hurry or they smiled. And I'll give you one of my favorite examples. I went to the Harmonic Convergence in Sedona, which is in 1986, I believe, or 87. And then all of my friends were like, oh, my God, I want to go to the next one. So they did a Harmonic Convergence too, and I took 3 friends of mine to Sedona, and I took them to Bell Rock, and then we went to this Mediterranean restaurant because I knew you could, it sat up higher, and you could sit on the patio and overlook Sedona, and it's beautiful at night and that kind of thing. And so we come in and we sit at a table, and sitting at the next table is a man that's 6'5" or taller, with blonde hair down to not halfway past down his back, but a little above that, right? His feet look like they're a 15, right? Like
my goodness.
Huge feet. And the woman was smaller, demure, and she had long hair. And when I looked over at them, I was like, oh, my God, they are not from here. And I couldn't tell my friends because they were literally within ear distance, right?
Yeah.
And the woman, once she knew that I knew, she was pulling her hair in front of her face. She was trying to cover it. But the guy was like, this is fun. Right, and he looked at me, and he's smiling, and and he's eating, she's not eating, and then I said this to my friends out of just to get a gauge of what they would do. I said, hey, did you guys ever see that movie, The Brother from Another Planet? And then that guy at the other table just burst out laughing, right? And so I thought to myself, I need to get their picture. So I stood up, and I said to my friends, now squeeze together, because I wasn't going to shoot a picture of my friends. I was going to shoot it over their heads and get those two on camera, right? And when I did, I heard her telepathically say no, and she tried to stop me from taking a photograph. She wanted to stop the film and the camera, and I said no. I said I will be very respectful, and I will never show these to anyone. And so I was able to get a couple of shots off, and but of course she's trying to cover her face with the hair and that kind of thing. And then one sign that if you look at somebody and you're like, they are so E.T., if they're on a motorcycle, most likely they are, because craft and stuff is usually way out in the desert, and they need something to get back to the craft, so they use a motorcycle to do it with, right? So these two, I was able to look over to see them get on the motorcycle and leave and drive away, because she was making him hurry up to eat because she was extremely nervous. And I don't really know why. What was I going to do, So now, of course, in hindsight, I wish I would have went and talked to them.
Well, I was going to ask you, because you describe. I have to say this, and I hope sometime you can share this photo with me, because you just described two friends of mine that, I'll have to tell you the story at some point, but and I'm pretty sure that the guy is a Pleiadian. He is at least part Pleiadian. Yes. He's super tall and blonde hair. So if you don't mind, sometime show me. I'll let you know if that's who they are, because I know their name.
I've been trying to find the photograph. I've been trying to find it.
Got to find it, Craig.
And where I thought it was, it's not there. So I'm going to just put out some sort of juju to the universe to point my head in the right direction, so I can find it. And if I do, I definitely will send it to you.
Yeah,
but
and I'll send a picture that I have back to you. So maybe just by looking at that, you can tell me if they're the same people. That would be too funny.
Yeah, I could.
I could do it that way. But
definitely tell you.
Goodness. And also, I've heard a lot about Pleiadians being in that area. People that have seen the Pleiadians, that they are taller than us, and that they've seen them walk up these red rocks like nothing. I mean, and in a matter of minutes, they're at the top. It's like physically impossible for a human. But lots of stories like that about that area and the very tall Pleiadians that live there for, I guess, because the energy is so fabulous. But I hear the traffic is terrible. So anyways.
Well, it is, as long as, just don't go in the summer months. Or, winter is a little bit, but it gets cold and it can snow and you're not able to do too many outdoorsy things. But
unless you're rugged New Englander.
Right, exactly.
Hey, to us, that's warm weather. But anyways, it's just so exciting for you because you keep having adventure after adventure with these entities. And the other thing that I love about having you on the show talking about them is you're not afraid. And we've talked to a lot of people who are, and you're not afraid, even though we've heard some of these races and some within these races can be quite threatening and dangerous to humans. So how do you deal with that? How do you stay calm and?
Well, a lot of things over the years was a lot of practice. Is that if you keep your temple, your body, in a beautiful working order by not polluting it with lots of alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, bad food, like different things like that. If you meditate, if you do things to help keep yourself in balance, that those things are pretty much kept at bay. You can call upon the master teachers, you can call upon the archangels, the created beings, the God force, whatever you want to do it for your own protection. Because a lot of people, when they begin this journey, they open up psychically, and what they don't understand is sometimes they start feeling the psychic attacks from the dark side. Because that dark side doesn't want you to advance. It wants to keep you dumbed down and stupid, because if you're dumbed down, then they can keep control of the planet. But if you advance and you get to a certain point, you are going to keep going and going and going, and then you ignite and you start igniting people around you into their own spiritual awakening, into their own experience. And so as all of these ignitions keep happening, then the dark beings can no longer live on a planet once it reaches a certain reverberation of light. It freaks them out, right? So that's how you can do protection. I also created because I in my experiences have worked a lot with and been visited by the angelic realm, and I asked them for what is a good thing of protection, and I received a thing that I did up in there. It's called the Divine M Trinity. And it's called the Universal Seal of Protection. They're on my website, Autobiography of OnET.com, under other books. If you scroll down, they're there. And it's the three divine M's. The cobalt blue M is for Archangel Michael. The gold M is for the Archangel Metatron. And the silver M is for Father Melchizedek, who is the architect of the universe, the spiritual university called University at Melchizedek. And we're going to start talking about that. I guess we can do that now. Do we have time?
We certainly do.
Oh,
because I know a lot of the people, as I mentioned in our audience, they want to know, well, okay, if other people are able to communicate with an extraterrestrial, I'd like to try that too. So what advice do you have for them? How do they do that?
Well, anybody and everybody can, and just make sure that you have done your protection and everything before you start. If you want to see craft in the sky, the very first documented one was from a man named Alfred K. Binder, and he had a little UFO group of a couple hundred people from around the world, and he wanted to create something called World Contact Day. And so he sent out a thing and said he wanted everyone to meditate at the same time around the world to call in the ETs so that they could see their craft and communicate with them. And in the part of his speech, part of it was calling that we are calling occupants of interplanetary craft. We want to make a contact with you. Well, the group Klaatu made it into a song, and the Carpenters later sang it as well. It is a beautiful song. If nobody has ever heard it, you can listen to both renditions on YouTube of calling occupants of interplanetary craft. Now, once he executed this, he was also the very first man to be visited by the Men in Black, who told him to stop.
Ugh.
Because
that's a visit nobody wants to have.
Nobody wants to have, but it was for the very reason that if you know that you have this power to connect to these intelligences that are benevolent and loving, and that you could learn from them, and a lot of the learning comes from downloads and them watching over you once you make a connection, right, is that then they didn't want that. They wanted that severed, again, to keep everyone dumbed down. So he was the very first one. Back in those days, there was a man named Gray Barker who had the Saucerian Press, and he was the one that published a lot of these books, and he did the first Men in Black book on Alfred K. Binder's story. Weirdly and strangely enough, ever since I brought Valiant Thor back through the short film and all of my talks, they have taken all of Gray Barker's books, and they are all now authored by Valiant Thor.
Oh, my.
Go figure. So
yeah.
I want everyone to know Valiant Thor never authored a book.
Yeah,
he was an advisor to Dr. Frank on Outwitting Tomorrow, but he has never authored a book. Because people come in, and I've looked online, there's about 10, 15 or more, all with Valiant Thor as the author. So if anyone wants to know about Valiant Thor, just read Stranger at the Pentagon, right? That's where you're going to get it right from the source, Dr. Frank. So
exactly.
Yeah, so that's how people can talk to ETs. Of course, Dr. Stephen Greer has taken that, and he does that in his CE, I think, what does he call them, 3-5 sessions, where you can go out and do that. I do it myself when I go to Sedona, and we always bring night vision binoculars. And what we do is you sit, you meditate, you call and put out your intention and say you would like to see something. You look through the night vision, and you will see craft zipping by. You'll see the last time, or the second to the last time I was in Sedona, I saw 2 craft tracking so fast across the sky that you couldn't believe it. The one place that I've gone is ESETI Ranch in Trout Lake, Washington, which is right, you can see Mount Adams from the sky field at ESETI Ranch. And
now
you can...
Who's the gentleman there? Because he's been on the show, and I'm trying to remember his name.
James Gilliland. James Gilliland.
Right.
Yes.
You know, I got to ask you this question since you've been there, because he brought something up, and I want to know what you think about it. one of the questions he raised, or not the questions, statements he brought up, was that when they see a blue craft coming or something with a bluish color, that they know that that's kind of the good side. Those are the white hats. But
right.
The red ones, they stay away from those. So that's what he had to say about it. And I was wondering, what was your experience out there? Did you see any red ones or blue ones, or what did you see?
Well, I saw lots of lights on Mount Adams at night, and then one big bright white light craft came, and then they have a person, an employee of ECETI who's out there with everyone. This is the only person that's allowed to hold a laser pointer. And then what everyone does is they say, okay, let's put our intentions out for them to power up, and they shine the laser at the craft, and all of a sudden the craft goes woo, and it expands its light like 3 times, and you see it going like pulsating. And then sometimes they'll say, can you move to the right? Can you move to the left? And you will actually see the craft doing that. But I've only been there once, and I've never heard James talk about that, but he would know because he lives there and has been there for many, many years. So, but that place is like a UFO magnet. You could go there on any given night, and you're most likely to see a craft or a Bigfoot. They have, I think, 3 Bigfoots that come on the property.
That is so
and
cool.
One even sort of interacted with a guest. Like, it stopped, it saw the guest saw it, and the Bigfoot kind of almost smiled, it seemed, and then took off back in the forest because they come in and take the apples from the tree, so to eat off of. So, and James is, he's like, they can eat whatever they want. It's everything is free of charge.
That's probably a good way to approach it with them. Yes. That's really wonderful. What a great ranch that they have out there. Yeah.
It is.
It's amazing.
It definitely is. But if it... I'm just going to say, if anybody's going to visit, go to their website and look at all their rules and everything, because you're going to want to definitely be prepared with all that kind of stuff. I think the last time I looked, they did not want anyone visiting if they were vaccinated.
Wow, isn't that something?
Yeah, and I know. So make sure you read it. I don't know if it's changed. The last time I looked was a couple of months ago. So just
did they
take
say
a look
why?
and see. I don't remember. I actually don't remember, but I that just sort of stuck in my mind. So
because there's been such a push for everybody to get that jab, and so it's interesting that they're taking a stand in the other way, and they must have their reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So very interesting.
Yes, for sure.
I'll have to go read up on that.
Yeah.
Now, what about this?
ETI?
And what about this concept that I just heard about from a remote viewing group, Farsight, about 2 warring alien groups that are having a tug of war over this planet and what's going on right now? Have you heard about that? Do you know about that?
Well, I'm sort of reading some material that I just got in books that I'm looking over. Look, I've heard the big one of the Draconians and all of that, but here is how the enlightened beings see all the planets and the entire universe. We are all born from the same primordial atom, therefore everyone is one and the same. Now, we all know here on Earth, we're not all one and the same. We can believe it and feel it and execute it in our hearts, But we all have different struggles and we all have different stuff. Why? Because we're living in duality. Up there, they're fully conscious beings. Their heart is actually connected to their mind. They're working at a higher vibrational level of love and thought. So they see every planet. Planets do not belong to any race. They belong to everyone. They are put here for everyone to live and have a beautiful experience in this 3D reality. But then you get our planet, which is in duality, and then and because the negative and the positive forces are here to help the planet rise up out of duality in a strange sense, because the negative is actually helping that. But, and I'll get to that in a minute, but the warring stuff has gone on for years and years and years over planets and territory and resources and all of those things. What were the two races that are supposedly warring? Do you know?
I don't know yet, because I have not had the time to sit down and listen to their big remote viewing experience where they break it all down. Right. I've just heard the trailer to it, saying that these two warring factions are the ones that are shaking the jar of ants, making us fight each other. And we need to know how to handle this. So that's why I thought it would be a good thing to talk to you about, because it sounds like they may be onto something, but I don't know.
Well, and this is all how I understand it. All this stuff is done, again, behind the scenes to where the people are unaware of it. So, right. Again, for everyone to be as aware as possible and to know to spiritually advance yourself so that we can actually bring this planet back into a harmonious state of being, and then these warring factors are gone. Now the one thing I do know is we have a very huge angelic presence. We know that Valiant Thor is still here. He is not leaving until this planet has gone into the changeover, and it then rejoins the rest of universal society. So, and you have to remember that even advanced beings such as Valiant Thor know that these negative energies and entities who are playing out this play, that eventually they're going to learn too, and that their soul is going to grow, and this is how the universe kind of grows. So it's an interesting concept that is actually explored in my book series, The Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial Saga. And I'll go into that now because it's a perfect transition. Yes. So it's a 4-part book series, and it explores duality on a human level and duality on a universal level. And it begins with a Pleiadian man who is 7'7", named Tehran. And he is a solar commander within the Galactarian alignment of space, peoples, and planets. People here might call it the Federation, but they call it the Galactarian alignment of space, peoples, and planets. He also works for their subdivision, which is called the Star Seed Alignment. He is a senior professor at Melchizedek, and it is his job. He teaches all of the star seeds from all the different worlds all over the universe and other universes as well, who have come to take leave of their, we could call them celestial bodies or their extraterrestrial bodies, and for a portion of their soul to be incarnated on Earth. And as that soul grows and has more spiritual sustenance, more and more of the soul can be put in so that it will grow and expand. And then this is, again, how we were talking about each light brings more light, brings more light, brings more light. So Tehran teaches all of them, and basically the books go into what the whole program is and everything, but also like what nationality, what race they're going to be, if they're going to be male or female, how long they have to do this incarnation mission in, etc. He also teaches mighty messengers, which are starseeds that have already incarnated on Earth as every race, creed, religion, male, female, gay, straight, asexual, bisexual. They have seen and done it all, because now when they come in this next time into this incarnation, they are going to teach the masses about the universe. So theirs is more on a global scale, where the starseeds are on a personal scale, which goes from, into their family members and outward into the friends and things like that. So now here's the most interesting thing about Tehran. Tehran is an anomaly. When he was born dualistic. Out of every 200,000 births in the universe out there, one being will be born dualistic, and it's twofold. And the simple reasons are that the fully conscious beings need a dualistic being to be understanding of who and what dualistic beings are, especially when they head out and start working with younger worlds. And the dualistic beings need fully conscious beings as examples of who and what they can become. So throughout the book series, the reader becomes the character of Tehran, and they learn how they can become fully conscious beings right along with Tehran. So
interesting concept. Yeah, I like that.
It's a really, really good concept. So so Tehran, this is part, so we learn that, but we also learn all about the Galactarian alignment of space peoples and planets, all of the various commanders, what are the duties, how are they here working on bringing Earth up into universal society. So when people say, well, why don't they land on the front lawn, and why don't they? Because we are not, our consciousness is not matched with theirs yet, right? I mean, they do pick contactees and things of that nature, but the thing is that on a more global scale, everyone's consciousness has to be ready, and so this is the preparation for that consciousness. So, so Tehran is also given the task of going to a prison planet and interacting with Lucifer, who has been on this prison planet for over 200,000 years. And it is the reason why it is such a long duration is to see if a being will finally become remorseful. And he never became remorseful. and he had never accepted anyone to come and meet with him to take down his lateral statement. So Turan does not want to do this, of course. I wouldn't want to do it. And, who really wants to go and do that? I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to say? So Turan has to really study about who he was. And he does try and get out of it, but the angelic corps will not let him. It's part of his training. And so he goes, and interestingly enough, Lucifer actually speaks with him, and we get to learn about who he was. Even though he's a created being, we get to learn who he was as a human, from a human perspective and not from a demonic perspective. Because everybody here, we think of Lucifer or Satan, we think of demonic, right?
Right.
But this is a whole different thing. So now I remember when the master teachers first brought me his energy, and I didn't know who it was, and I said, I don't know who that is. I don't want to write about that. And they had to convince me to write about it, and said that I would be totally protected as well, and that they would give it to me. So the interaction is really quite extraordinary in their first meeting. And throughout the course of the books, we get to learn more about Michael, who is, the head of the archangels and created beings as well, and Lucifer, and because they're the universal duality. So we learn about all of that, and we go back and forth when they were in harmony, and what is the thing that triggered Lucifer into defecting, and how did he get the angelic kingdom to come to his side. And I have to say it's pretty persuasive. I never knew this, right? It was really, really educational. And then book 3 is one of my favorites because Turan has to write a dossier. So the book is subtitled Turan's Dossier. And he has to present this at Lucifer's tribunal because he has never come forth with being remorseful. So now he goes on trial for soul death. And if he is found guilty, then his soul will no longer exist, right? And I had never heard of that concept ever. And so Turan has to do a balanced perspective of Michael's side and Lucifer's side and give this dossier before these older created beings that are called paradise sons that come from other universes, right? And they can look into the Akashic records, dimensions, if someone's telling the truth, if they're lying, they can see it all. So as things are being presented to them, we go back to Lucifer's original trial before he was put on the prison planet, and we see excerpts from that trial, and then we are also in his trial for soul death. And, we think there's only 2 outcomes. He's going to go back to the prison planet, or he's going to have a soul death and no longer exist. And then the answer to that is neither. You won't believe what happens, because I didn't believe it, because these books were brought forth by the master teachers when I had my spiritual awakening. So there was 2 years of preparing me to write the books. And then they would tell me they said, okay, now you just sit down and you keep writing and writing and writing until you can hear no more. So in my at that time, I was in my late 20s, and I lived in a one-bedroom apartment. So I used to have to write at the kitchen table because I didn't have an office. And then in my living room, there was a portal, and I could see the energies coming through the portal, and then they would stand behind me, and I would just hear them talking, and I would channel everything out. I didn't know what channeling was, but that's, of course, years later, I knew that that's what it was. By the way, ever since I was born, I could see energy in a room. So if something was in my room, I could tell if it was good or bad. And I started seeing angels at age 10.
Wow. What a gift.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, and it's like the story. Oh my God, I can't even tell you. It is such a universal adventure, but you get to learn just about just everything. I mean, when Tehran, I think one of the things that the readers will really love the most is when Tehran meets his own shadow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the exchange there was the most profound thing I have ever experienced in my life. Now, mind you, when that happened, they actually gave that to me in a lucid dream so I could watch it. So I was able to just wake up and go right to pen and paper and write all of the dialogue and everything that was exchanged between him and his shadow. And,
gosh, this sounds like a great movie. Oh my God.
I
It sounds
know,
like something we
it
need to
is.
watch. We all need to watch it.
I know.
Gosh,
I know.
it's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I've written the script to book 1 already, and have that ready. But this could be one of those great, Netflix, HBO series that
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it now.
Yeah, just keeps on going and going and going. And I, because I saw it so vividly, I kept saving money, and I hired an artist, and I had her create over 80 to 90 artwork pieces of the extraterrestrials, their galactic gadgets, their ships, inside their ships, so that everyone could actually have another visual image of everything and actually see what the commanders look like, because I got to see what all the commanders look like. And, of course, Tehran, who the story's about, was one of my, of course, contacts, and not in person, right, but, mind to mind and that kind of thing. So, and
well,
people are
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
I got a question for you about Lucifer and Satan. Aren't they two separate entities?
They are.
No,
they
exactly.
are, and they are both in the book, because Satan, or as they channel through, Satan is how they pronounced it, is that he was Lucifer's right-hand man. Mm-hmm. And he was the one who really did not want to go along with this rebellion and had to really be convinced. So, but of course, there's a point in a soul's evolution when they start going down a dark path, and they start getting belligerent, and when they're not getting their way, and there's a time of snapping where they don't come back from. and they just keep going down the path of destruction until they destruct. So, so this is why they give them these long amounts of time with sending someone to try and take down their lateral statement to see if there's any remorse within them, to see where they're at mentally, and that kind of thing. And they also have a gadget, which is a mental mind reader, that also, no matter what they're saying or doing in an exchange with each other, is that this machine can actually take down the wavelengths and see if they're telling the truth or if they're lying to get out of it. Right? So.
Yeah, right. Well, I'll tell you, we had Patrice Chaplin on the show, and she wrote a book about Lucifer Morningstar. She's also written a book called The Portal. She's really had some amazing experiences, but as I questioned her about Lucifer, and it turned out, and this was not in her book, which was amazing, but somehow I pulled it out of her, and she actually saw him and described him to the audience, and it was remarkable. So, and again, that's what brought up my question about Satan and Lucifer being two separate entities. So I think your series would be a it would be an excellent adventure, and also, like you mentioned, something that would help us all kind of go to the next level of understanding of what is all of this. I mean, these advanced beings and all the trials and tribulations they also have chosen to go through, and how it's affecting us today. And again, there's so much to this that we need to understand. So your books are perfect for that.
It is. And the thing is that it's for people to stop being terrified of those two names, because they are just people too, and they went down the wrong path, and you don't want to go down their path. And look, there is nothing that either one of those entities can do to any of you. It's the people who decide to keep them alive through Satanism or different kinds of things like that, right? So, but you will find what was really interesting, and by the way, they are both artistically drawn in the book as well. And we get to learn about like Lucifer's personal life and things like that. And but it's what you expect. You're never going to even believe what happens in a million years, because I was like, oh my God, wow, wow, yeah. So. And right now, since I just finished the last MUFON book, I'm back working on doing a prequel I'm actually going to do 2 prequels to the book, so to book 1, and go back and we will explore Tehran's youth, and we're going to go in different timelines and go back into Michael and Lucifer's extreme friendship and brotherly love, and learn about all of that, and then get into more of how he actually began to fall by learning of other things and things of that nature, and there'll be new commanders and things. And then what I'll do is it'll be 7 books in the end. The 7th book will wrap up all the storylines, and that. And then if I want to continue, I can take a character from the books and just continue on a whole different evolutional path with those characters, because they're all so rich. Yeah, they're so rich and robust, and
yeah, there's so much to teach us.
Yeah.
So they do.
I mean, they were great.
I'll tell you, they're great characters, and we certainly can relate. So, especially to the dualistic ones that have the shadow side, like we all do. So that's tremendous. Again, it's Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial Saga is what we've just been talking about. I do have a listener with a question, but again, before I go to the question, I just want to make sure everybody knows the links are in the show description so that you can find Craig's GoFundMe campaign link, as well as how to get personalized or autographed copies of his book. And, all the information you need is right there.
It's right there. And on the homepage, by the way, of Autobiography of an ET, if people want to get all 4 books, either in hardcover or softcover, they can do it with a click of a button, or they can just buy them individually as well.
Excellent, Craig. What fun this has been. Let me just pull this listener onto the line real quick.
Sure.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but I wanted to give him a chance to say hello and ask you a question. Hi, you're live on the air. Is this Hugh?
Yes, it is. What a fantastic guest, and I want to do everything I can to help him with fundraising, and I can share a website that supposedly captures the face of the devil. It relates to the church I was married in. If you'd like to see that under the miraculous photos, the website is smwa.org, and just click on miraculous photos. But I wanted to ask Craig if he did ever interact with Laura Magdalene Eisenhower, the great-granddaughter of President Dwight D. Eisenhower, who met with Valiant Floor, because I think she could be very helpful, too, in bringing attention. And also, I had mentioned in a prior show that Patricia brought me on, I have a note from the gentleman up in Canada that was the Canadian Defense Minister, Paul Hellyer. And so I have some very interesting connections and very powerful synchronicities. I don't do email or texting. If I did leave a message at your number out in California, and I did live in LA years ago, but I really feel that the world needs so much of what you have, and I can help you with that, and we can bring it right back to Patricia because she's doing such fantastic work too.
Oh, thank you, Hugh. That's very nice of you. And yes, I am friends with Laura, and I'll be doing her radio show, I think, next week. I think we have that set up.
I've been trying to get this person also to come on and connect with Patricia. She just started her own podcast, but she's quite something. Her name is Gail Haysen, Hayssen. She's in Sebastopol, California, and she's very well connected with Russell Targan and remote viewers. I think all this needs to be done more than,
Well, thank you so
much.
Finish
up, but if you can call me whenever it's convenient, if Patricia can share my number, because again, I have things that can help you immediately. This has to come out because we're being controlled and manipulated too much. And one last thing, you may also be familiar because she did interact with James Gilliland, Victoria Wilgenquist, because their father was a Secret Service agent.
Yes, that's right. Well, that's
Hugh,
great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hugh. We'll talk
soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Hugh. Did you leave your number for Craig on his answering machine?
I did. I put it to the number that he has for casting. I don't know if he gets the messages there.
Yes, that's fine. I get that.
Oh, great.
Okay, great. So you guys
and if I don't,
talk.
I'll get it from Patricia. Not to worry.
Yeah.
But again,
Hugh, thank you so much.
Such much needed information, and God bless you both. We'll get there.
Bless
Thanks,
you too.
Right.
Bye, Hugh.
Well, unfortunately, we are out of time. Loved talking with you, Craig, as always.
So
I know, too fast. But thank you so much.
It's been
fascinating. Oh, I'm so glad because I'm going to have you back. So anyways, everybody, make sure you look into the description of the show so you can help Craig out with his GoFundMe and buy those books. They sound excellent. We'll be back next week with another great show. Until then, see you on the Blue Highway. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with Supernatural.